Hey, Chris, I see you just signed on as attendee, so I'm going to promote you to a panelist. Hey, Rita, thanks for joining. I see you. I'm going to promote you to a panelist for the meeting.
This is Casey. I'm just checking. Lisa is the captioner because as Mike has said things, I've not seen any captioning.
Yes, Lisa should be set as the captioner. There's a stream link in the chat.
Okay. Well, the chat's disabled on the participant side.
Right, we'll have to put that in the webinar Q&A.
Chris, you should be able to unmute yourself. I just saw your note.
Here, yes, thank you.
You're welcome. And Rita, I sent you an invite to be a panelist, so you should see that pop up.
You got it?
Mike, this is LJ, the interpreter. Are you seeing Lisa's notes for captioning? She's saying that she's having trouble. She hasn't started captioning, but she's lost the ability to unmute.
Hmm.
All right, this is Casey.
I think she's having trouble.
Is on the that is on the panelists. You're going to need to leave your sound on, or for Mike and Katie, you're going to have to unmute people, one or the other.
Okay, panelists should be able to speak freely.
So, not with the setting that you turned on.
Should
So
we
there's
turn that back off? Because it shouldn't allow webinar participants to unmute, right? It would only
Right.
allow,
Right. We've always unmuted participants, but panelists have been able to unmute themselves.
yeah, I'm gonna check this, allow panelists to unmute themselves.
Yes, that's what we want.
Okay.
This is Anna, and I am now able to unmute.
Hey, great. Glad to have you, Anna.
And thank you, Mike.
Amy, try it again. We just changed a setting.
Got it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
This is Anna, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it looks like we have Amy Llewellyn not able to unmute again.
I'm good, and I'm just going to leave it unmuted because
Okay.
I muted it and then I couldn't unmute. So I'll just leave it
Okay.
this way. You guys can hear me click away.
Thank you.
All right. And Amy Browning Varble, I see you as an attendee, so I'm going to promote you to panelist.
Okay.
Mike, this is Katie. I see Rita Kirsch in the participant list.
Yes, I sent Rita an invite to be a panelist. She'll need to accept that. Okay, Christina Trimnell, I see you as a attendee. I'm going to promote you to panelist.
Is everybody? Okay, we're still waiting on Rita to accept the invite.
Yeah. Yep, and I just sent her another one. And then I got a text from Ann Barnhart. She's restarting her computer.
And Mike, this is Amy. I just wanted to make sure that so today so that well obviously Anna already has access, but today Tammy Themmel is also going to be giving an introduction about her center, and I just want to make sure that she'll be able to have access when that time comes, if that's okay.
Yes, and I thought I heard that Tammy wanted to move her presentation to December, but if Tammy would like to go today, we can make that happen.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that she did that. Okay, so never mind. So, okay,
Either way, we'll be fine.
okay.
All right, please let me know when we've got everybody in.
Yeah, Rita's a panelist now.
Okay, so that should be everyone at this point.
Yeah, Ann Barnhart was having some tech issues. So hopefully she is able to join us.
Okay. All right. It is 2:03. So this is Casey Valdi. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We do know that Ann Barnhart is trying to join. But first we need to start off with a roll call of attendance. So we have Louis Roman. Okay. We have Anna Thompson Jones,
This is Anna here.
Jennifer David,
This is Jennifer David, present.
Amy Browning Varble,
This is Amy and I'm here.
is Ann Barnhart been able to get in yet? I don't think she has, so we'll keep watching
No,
for
I'm not
her.
seeing Ann yet.
Haley Brown. I do not see Haley. Linda Brino. I do not see Linda. Laura Kitterman. Not present. Gary Olson. Is not present. Christina Tremnell.
This is Christina. I'm here.
Catherine Vest. I do not see Catherine. And Dave Schleppenbach.
Dave is here.
All right. Then we have our non-voting members, who is Abby Fleener. Who I do not see. Amy Llewellyn.
Amy Llewellyn is here.
And then we have our guest attendees, which is our executive director, Mike Fodrell.
Here.
We have Chris Spinks, our spill committee chair.
Here.
And then we have Rita Kirsch, who is our nominating committee chair.
I'm here.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer. Ashley, sorry, I need to let Mike give information about accessibility, please.
Yes, and so we do have ASL interpreting. They are co-hosts, so you should be able to pin them to the screen if you need them. We also have cart services available, and the link should be in the chat and in the Q&A, so you should be able to find that there. If you're having accessibility issues, you can either email me, and that's mfodrill, Foddrill, at indianasilc.org, or you can text me at 317-514-6145.
All right, Jennifer, I need for you to give us a confirmation if we've met quorum.
Okay, I am not sure. Can somebody help me with the numbers? Because I heard somebody still trying to get on. Let's see.
I counted 8 voting members present.
Okay.
All right, so this is Casey. I see that Catherine Vest is now present.
Great.
And did Anne Barnhart make it on?
I don't think so. Ann's still having some issues. I'm trying to work with her kind of on the side to get that resolved.
Okay, so at this point, how many do we have? Because we have 15 council members, right? Total?
I think we have not, is it 9 present then?
Yes, we should have 9 with Catherine.
And she is on. She's not one that we're waiting for. Correct. We have 60%. If it is, if 9 are present, then 60%.
Okay, so we do have quorum then. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, we do have quorum.
Catherine is here. I was having struggles with the Zoom meeting and joining, but I am on.
Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying. Okay, we do have quorum.
Jennifer,
Okay.
you said the quorum percentage is 60%. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I think back to Casey.
Okay. All right, so this is Casey. We have presented we have the July 23rd, the meeting minutes. I need to present those, and if those are acceptable, we would need a motion to accept those as presented. Unless there's any discussion that there needs to be a change.
This is Jennifer David. I motion that we approve the minutes.
This is Anna Thompson Jones, and I second that motion.
All right, this is Casey. We have a motion on the floor to accept the public minutes from July 23rd, 2025 as they were presented. And I'm going to do a roll call. So let's see, we have, I don't think Lewis is on. So give me just a second. Anna Thompson Jones.
This is Anna, and yes.
Okay, Jennifer David.
This is Jennifer David. Yes, present.
Okay, did Anna make it on or no? I don't.
Not yet.
Anna's.
Okay.
Or Ann Barnhart. Sorry. Yeah. Not
Okay.
Ann Barnhart. Yes.
Okay. Amy Browning Varble.
Yes.
Okay. Haley is not here, is not here. Laura Titterman is not here, Gary's not. Trumnell,
This is Christina, yes.
Catherine Best,
Yes.
okay, and Dave Schlackenbach.
I have to abstain since I wasn't at that meeting.
Thank you. All right. I'll turn it over to Jennifer to give an update on our meetings.
Okay, thank you. This is Jennifer David, the secretary for the council. Our upcoming public meetings for 2025. All meetings are held from 2 to 4 Eastern time. We've indicated here a new time, Mike.
2 to 4 is the new time. We used to do 1 to 3, but we are 2 to 4 Eastern now.
All right, so the upcoming dates for the rest of the year and early 2026, our next meeting is September 5th. And then in December on the 10th, we will have our last meeting for 2025. And then in 2026, our first meeting will be March 11th. And then our summer meeting will be June 10th. The next item to discuss is the hybrid meeting goal. I guess Mike's going to give us an update. We continue to revisit that every time we meet here, and Mike gives us an update.
Yes, and so we will do the post-event survey. After this meeting, we'll send it to all of the panelists and attendees. One of the questions on there is if folks would like to continue to meet virtually or if people would like a hybrid option. We've been doing that survey for a little over a year, and to this date, about 85 to 90% of our responders say they would prefer a virtual meeting. And so we will continue to meet virtually unless we see a change in that response to the survey.
That was to ever change. Is there already a plan?
We have some spaces in mind, and we will do more details and announce something if we get to that point.
Okay. So, but as for now, it continues to be about 85% of the members are requesting to meet in this format. Okay, the notice of communication rules for the public meetings. There'll be an announcement of the speaker's time limit. The meeting facilitator, she will let us know that amount and also will let you know when the time has ended. And if you go over, you will likely be muted. And if you have any additional comments, if you feel like you were not able to get everything out that you wanted to say, you are more than welcome to write the chair, Casey Weldy, and her email address here is chair, CHAIR, the @ and then indianasilc.org. That's INDIANASILC.org. And just one more thing, when it's your time to speak, if you could just please identify yourself before speaking, and we'll go from there.
All right, this is Casey. So we are now going to open the floor for public comments for 15 minutes. Mike, can you tell us how much time we've got on each of the comments?
Yes, we will do 3 minutes on each comment.
All right.
And so if someone would like to make a comment, they may raise their hand on the attendance list, and then I will allow you to speak. Oh, and I see Jeremy Warner has his hand raised. Just hang on 1 second, Jeremy. Okay, you should be able to speak now, Jeremy.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yes, you're coming through just fine.
Very good. So wanted to just share with everybody that the Disability Empowerment Unconference took place August 27th to August 31st. We gathered together 60 different people with diverse disabilities from diverse counties all across the state of Indiana, and from diverse activities of their own. And I just want to share with all of you that it was a tremendous success. We included in that an entire day on independent living And the last day or half day of the unconference, we really focused on next steps for community building for the disability community across the state. And part of that was also putting together a list of what that community would like to see insilc focus its efforts and its budget towards, which we will be getting to you within the next week or so. We're just finalizing that right now to be sure that it captures everything that everybody wanted to include on that list.
Okay, that sounds fine. And is that the end of your comment then, Jeremy?
I think so, yeah, for now.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment? You can raise your hand. Oh, I see Leslie, Leslie Hawker. I'm going to allow you to talk. Okay, Leslie, you should be able to speak now.
Hi, thank you for allowing me the opportunity. I once again would like to, two things. One is I never received a survey asking me whether I wanted to see keep virtual meetings, and that's really a point of contention. I think we need to start having hybrid meetings, which would mean some people that want to stay virtual can stay that way, but that those of us who would like to attend personally would also have that opportunity. I think our conference proved that seeing people face to face and having live interaction is really a way to for all of us to understand what the community is really about. Also, again, I would like to just stress the fact that I really think that we have to start talking about the issues that are affecting people with disabilities across the country and especially here in our state. There has been so much going on that it's hard to narrow it down to one or two things, but obviously Medicaid, the closing of rural hospitals. There's 13 hospitals in the state of Indiana that are closing, a lot of them in the areas where the other centers are at. It's just going to be one of those things that we have to start talking about the things that really affect people. Just doing surveys, having meetings, talking about issues, but never doing anything really does not is not really very functional on our parts. So I would encourage you again to try to do what you can to actually open this up to get people with disabilities an opportunity to be involved in their silk. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Leslie. And then I see Jordan has her hand raised. So Jordan, I'm going to unmute you. Okay, you should be able to speak now, Jordan.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, you're coming through just fine.
Okay, great. This is Jordan from Everybody Counts, and I wasn't going to make a comment because I feel like at this point it's a waste of my time. But Mike, you brought up again, or just brought up the meeting, the hybrid meetings again. I don't get surveys after these meetings, so I feel like there's inconsistency in who is receiving the surveys after meetings, as well as like, are they just going to council members and you're receiving feedback from the council members? Because then you're just surveying yourself. But two, I just again want to challenge the council on the Indiana Open Door Law, which says whether you meet virtually or not, there has to be a physical quorum. It's still required. At least 50% of members must be physically present at each meeting, whether it's held virtually or not. And so, Mike, you said at some point in an email, that you met with legal counsel and are confident that insilc complies with the Indiana's Open Door Law. You've never replied as to who this legal counsel is and as to why you're not meeting this like 50%. I mean, I just don't understand the hesitance on meeting virtually when meeting hybrid when it's just like an option that people can have. I don't understand why it's not an option. That's my comment. It just seems kind of ridiculous at this point that we're just surveying ourselves when there's obviously, I brought it up, Leslie brought it up, it's been brought up at other meetings that we want to meet in public. So it's something the council says they've been working on. I have video of them and other meetings that you're working on, meeting these hybrid meetings, and then you're not because you're surveying people. So which one? I just don't understand. So that's my comment. That's all I have to say. I'm done rambling.
That's okay. Thank you for your comment.
I'm sure you are.
I see Karen Wilson. Karen, you have your hand up. And so you should be able to make your comment now.
Hi, this is Karen Willison from Bloomington. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming through just fine.
Right. So I know that today there's supposed to be a discussion of the corrective action plan and the state plan. And I'm concerned that there haven't been enough opportunities for public comment on the corrective action plan or the state plan. And to ensure that it will always be developed with the disability community, I believe the only way to ensure long-term accountability would be for the corrective action plan and the state plan to specify a minimum required number of yearly public comment sessions. And since there are 10 stills in Indiana, I would propose that each one be required to hold a hybrid public comment session at least once a year in the most populous city of their district, and then compile the comments and overall findings into a report for insilc. That would be 10 opportunities for a wide cross-section of the disability community to connect with their SILs and offer feedback on the state plan as well as other issues facing their district. Also, all the documents related to the state plan, the corrective action plan, all of this needs to be readily available on the insilc website so that people can review them and prepare their remarks and feedback prior to all these meetings, any meetings that are being held. I'm also going to put the basic text of this comment into the Q&A so that everyone can read it. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
All right, thank you for your comment.
Okay, are you going to consider that and perhaps incorporate that into your proposals and plans?
This is Casey. We're collecting comments, and we're going to be, or as far as we've said before, we would collect up all the comments and we would post the responses on the website. At this point, these are business meetings, so.
And Casey, there is an item on the agenda to discuss the spill on the cap update, so we will be covering that a little later.
That's correct. Sorry. Thank you.
I'm sorry. This is Catherine.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Catherine.
Yeah, I said, do you mind speaking a little bit more clearly for the interpreters, please? Because I feel like the interpreter's kind of struggling. There was like some background noise and it kind of overlapped for the interpreter to be able to hear to interpret clearly.
Yes, I think that's a good reminder for all of us to speak a little slower and a little more clearly for the interpreters. I know I have a tendency to talk fast myself, so I will make sure to do that.
This is Casey. Thank you, Catherine, for that reminder. So. All right, was there anyone else that had any other comments they wanted to add?
No problem.
I see Jeremy with his hand up, and then I think that'll be time for probably our last comment for this session, but we do have one more comment session later in the agenda.
Thanks, Mike. And I won't take too long, but I just kind of wanted to respond to some of the comments that were thrown out there. And in that, one, I did note that in your meeting minutes, you're now showing an abbreviated comment about what people said, and I appreciate that. it doesn't actually show, at least from what I can tell, your side of that conversation, how you responded to those comments, including Casey's comment there about that we're just taking comments and that you'll be posting the responses online. How do we know when those responses are posted so that the people who are wanting responses can actually see those responses, since you're not providing them in the actual public meeting? And then the other thing that I would ask, and I'm sorry, there's a plane flying over right now, but when you talk about the hybrid meetings and that question about why that's not happening, is there not, because of the fact that your responsibility is to be meeting with the public, a very diverse group of people with disabilities, does that not automatically mean that you need to provide a physical presence, a location, so that there is accessibility for anybody with a disability who this is not accessible for? That would be it.
Thank you for your response, for your comment, Jeremy. So,
Thanks. And I think, Casey, and I think that's the end of the time for this session.
all right, so public comment is closed. At this, up next, we will have the committee and state updates and reports. We'll start with our executive director report with Mike Fodgel.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Want to run through a few things with you guys. Just a little bit on the budget. We'll talk about this in more detail when we approve the budget later on, but I did want to make sure that everybody saw the update that we did receive a 5% cut in our budget from the state. That's consistent with what the cut that other organizations have received, so it's pretty similar across the board. And then I worked to put together a budget that reflects that and adopts those changes. And I've done that with the treasurer and the executive committee. We'll cover more detail on that in the future. Anna can kind of go through that. And then one of the big items I wanted to update everybody on was the public forums. And so our next public forum, we're actually doing one in 2 weeks. It is on Tuesday, September the 23rd. It's an in-person event in Evansville. We're going to be at the DoubleTree. And we're doing 2 events that day. So in the morning, we're doing an accessible transportation symposium, and we're doing that in conjunction with the league. And this is going to do a few things for us under the spill. One, it's going to be an advocacy event where we're promoting how to advocate for yourself in the community. It's also going to be in conjunction with a town hall. And then in addition, one of the goals in the spill was to look at having an advocacy training program. And this is a pilot project for us to work with the league on licensing out the Inclusion Institute. And this is a chance for us to test out how all of that is going to work. And it's pretty exciting. That transportation symposium in the morning, there's going to be network opportunities where attendees are going to have the chance to connect with individuals from various backgrounds, including those with lived experiences. We'll have advocates and policymakers there. And then there's going to be actionable advocacy. And so that the folks who attend are going to work collaboratively to create tangible action plans that they can take out of that meeting to do work and to have some kind of tangible action within a few months of the event. So they can say that this is one of the things that I've worked on. And then there will also be interactive discussions. People have the chance to engage in thought-provoking conversations about the intersection of transportation and policy issues. And it's going to be covering vital areas such as employment, healthcare, and community engagement. And we've really had really good success with this. When we were kind of sitting down and talking to the team at the league about how we wanted to structure this, our goal was to have probably anywhere between 45 and 50 attendees. And we currently have 73. So we've had really nice attendance. It looks like it's going to be a really big event for us. And so we're really excited to do that on September 23rd. And then we're also going to cap off the afternoon by having a disability town hall. And this will be kind of similar in structure to what we've done previously in both in Lafayette and in South Bend. We're going to have some really great speakers for that event. We'll have Mayor Stephanie Terry, State Representative Alex Burton and City Councilor Ben Trockman will all be in attendance that day. Ben's going to moderate a conversation and a Q&A with Mayor Terry and State Rep Burton to talk about kind of what's going on in Evansville, to give folks who are from that community and from that region a chance to talk to their policymakers, ask questions, bring up their concerns. And then we'll have some surveys and some mechanisms to continue to get feedback on the spill and on our progress on that. So we're really excited for this event. That town hall is from 4 to 6. So that's 4 to 6 Central Time in Evansville. And again, that is at the DoubleTree, which is in downtown Evansville. There's more detailed information on both of these events are available on our website. That's insilc.org. And you can find it on our social channels. Where we have good information on that as well. So we're really excited to see how that event turns out. And we'll be, again, doing that on Tuesday, September 23rd. So 2 weeks from yesterday, in fact. And then we're already kind of laying the groundwork for our next town hall. And we're planning a virtual town hall that we're aiming to have probably in the first 2 weeks of December. And that one's going to be focused on advocacy. If you remember last year, we had Jennifer Hollowell from Hollowell Consulting talk to us about how a bill becomes a law, how to contact your senator and your legislator, and just sort of that whole process. We really want to do a next level of that to talk about in more detail what's coming up in the upcoming legislative session, and to give people more tangible takeaways from that too, that they can use in their community. And we're talking to a couple of different potential speakers that we're excited to have, and we're hopefully going to be announcing more on that soon. So look for more information. And then we're also in the process of planning our town halls for 2026. If you remember, the goal in the spill is to do one every quarter. And so we know that in 2026, we're going to go to New Albany, and we know we're going to do one in central Indiana. So we're still kind of working out those details. There'll be 2 other ones in addition to that, and we'll be announcing those hopefully here within the next month or so. But again, if you stay tuned to our website, we'll put it in our newsletter and then our social media as well. We'll have the latest information on the town halls. And then I also wanted to talk to you guys and give you an update on the Humana project. If you remember that we got a grant from Humana for $100,000, and that was to do a couple of things. Primarily, it was to train their staff on the IL network and on diversion strategies. And they're working on the Pathways project. And so we granted out $75,000 of those dollars to Independence, Indiana. And they're working on on creating and setting up some training with the Humana staff. We're looking at probably, we're going to do some October dates for that. And then we're going to do a few follow-along surveys, both to assess the quality of the training, and then a little bit later to assess how well they've been able to apply that training. But we have a good team with Independence, Indiana that's working to make that happen. I continue to be in touch with the Humana team. So we're pretty excited to see how that goes. And then in the future, what we would like to do is potentially to market out this project to other companies as well. So we're having good success with Humana, and we'd like to be able to replicate that with some of the other companies that are doing similar work. And then finally, the Inclusion Institute proposal. This is, again, just kind of a reminder. This is one of the big deliverables in the spill, and that is that we would have an advocacy training program, and we are working with Institute as a way to test pilot kind of licensing this out. And we're doing this, again, with the Transportation Symposium that we're having in Evansville. And that should be, again, really good. We're going to have 73 attendees for that, and it's going to be a chance to see how this works. And if it works well, then we might look at licensing out other parts of their training, or kind of expanding this project in the future. But it's really a good chance for us to learn how it works, learn how best to work with the SILs to make this happen, and a chance to really have 73 people go through the symposium. So we're pretty excited about that. So just a couple of things that are on our radar. And that's the end of my report. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. This is Casey. Thank you, Mike, for the information. I'll now turn it over to Anna Thompson-Jones to give us an update on our treasurer report.
Hi, this is Anna, and I'm going to do budget versus actuals This is year to date from October 2024 to July 2025. I don't know if you can hear the sirens, but it looks like I'm going to be noisy out here. So first I'm going to go over our profits. So our actuals for our profits are $286,484.55. Our budget was $248,889.20. We are over budget $37,595.35, which is a good thing when we're talking about profits. On our total operating expenses, our actuals are $108,472.62. Our budget was $42,999.90. We are over budget on that $65,472.72. And one of the reasons that we are over budget on that is we acquired 2 staff during that process. And we also had Humana grant expenses in that. So our total personnel expenses are $123,820.65. And we had budgeted $186,627.60. So we are under budget on that $62,806.95. Our net our net revenue is $44,168.69. And we are under budget. Is that correct, Mike? If you could help me out for a second.
Yep.
Okay, I hate to say it incorrectly on this video. We are under budget $91,155. Or our budget was under $91,155. I think I may have a typo there. We were over budget $135,323.69. I feel like I messed that one up just a little bit, but I know that the whole council has a report. I apologize. I will get through one of these without messing up someday.
Yeah, you're doing fine, Anna.
I think that's it.
All right, thank you, Anna. This is Casey. I'll turn it over now to Amy Browning-Varble.
Hi, this is Amy Browning-Varble, and today we have SICL, that is the Center for Independent Living that's located in Mitchell, that will be presenting and showcasing some of the things that they're doing there at their center and how they differ from some other centers. And on behalf of SICL, we have Anna Thompson-Jones.
Okay. So Chris Spinks and I are kind of tag teaming this today. So I'm going to start. She's going to finish. I'm trying to keep in mind when I report on this that we have people here that know a lot about Centers for Independent Living, and we have people that don't know as much about Centers for Independent Living. So I'm trying to be a little bit more inclusive so that I don't leave people in the dark. So SICL is located in Mitchell, Indiana, and SICL is an acronym because we love acronyms. So it's Southern Indiana Center for Independent Living, and it's SICIL, SICL. We serve Bartholomew, Brown, Crawford, Jackson, Lawrence, Monroe, Orange, and Washington counties. Teresa Reynolds is our executive director. Chris Spinks is our public health program director. I am the SICL program director, and we have 4 ILAs, which is our independent living advocates: Carly Dixon, Alyssa Cogwell, Jackie Crane, and Jeff Mendenhall. 2025 is Sickle's 30th anniversary. So we are very blessed and hope to continue to serve our communities for many years to come. 30 years is a long time. So we're very happy about that. Sickle does the regular 5 core services. So we do advocacy, independent living skills, information and referral, peer support, and transition services. Additionally, we do information and referral to anyone who calls, whether or not they are in our service area. And I want to point that out for people that may not realize that. And someday maybe we'll be able to get Indiana covered completely, which is, I know, a goal for everyone. Living Well Home Care is our longest existing and most successful fee-for-service. They do an incredible job, and they serve many people in multiple counties throughout the state, mostly Indianapolis South. I don't think they go above that. We are an older independent blind grant subgrantee through accessibility. So we appreciate our partnership with accessibility and being able to assist in that grant. We have a support group. So our support group meets twice a month online, which has been our consumers' preference of people that have attended. And that is ran by Jeff. At our center, we have Mitchell Inclusion Garden. So it serves various purposes. It offers a range of activities, including taking a walk on the accessible walking path, gardening in the raised beds, enjoying nature, and having an accessible shelter house. And we do not charge people for the use of any of those items. And it's really nice to look out my window and see people utilizing that. There is a bee station through the local beekeepers, and they keep, I think we have 2 hives out there fenced in at the back of the property, and they really help our garden. We have a lady in Mitchell that doesn't have a place that she can garden at home and really enjoys gardening. So she comes and has been our continuous person that is interested in participating in the garden, because a lot of people may start and then they just finish and don't bother the next year to try to do that. But she really enjoys it, does an excellent job, and she shares produce with the community. So that provides people with fresh vegetables that they're not having to pay for, and they can just pick up or sometimes get them dropped off to them. I think she does that as well. We launched a new fee-for-service, Studio 1490, in January. It is designed to promote independent living and community participation while eliminating isolation and fall prevention. And I don't know about people on the call, but isolation is a topic that I have become very interested in. And from all of the webinars that are offered, I believe that a lot of people are interested in isolation. And I believe that that was really highlighted or hit hard on during the pandemic, that people became more aware of how isolated people can be. We have a mix of people with and without disabilities who attend Studio 1490, and the exercises are done with and without chairs, so they're adaptable and people can adapt them to their individual abilities. Several of our attendees arrive early and enjoy visiting in our large meeting area. I kind of laugh about it because if you don't get here really early, you're not going to beat studio people. They're here waiting for us to open. Studio attendees have reported several successes, and although we can't take direct credit for that, we do know that we're contributing. So some of the successes that we have heard about are improved blood panels from their doctor's visits and muscle tone, just improved abilities. At least a couple of our attendees have began coming to studio after being released from rehabilitation for knee surgeries. In addition to the physical and mental health benefits, studio income enables us to provide more for our consumers, such as recently we purchased a rollator for someone whose insurance said that they would not cover it because they had already had one within the time frame that's allowed by their insurance, but they needed it because their other one was broken. So we're getting ready to wrap up a Cool Seniors grant, which we received from one of our local foundations. Cool Seniors has allowed us to provide window air conditioners, fans, cases of water, and a tip sheet to help people stay safe during the hot weather. And as part of our effort to eliminate social isolation, we've also added a phone call component to that where we call and check in with people every 2 weeks during that grant. We participate in community activities throughout our service area, providing information and referral, community education, and we endeavor to support our community members in having access to the information and resources they need to live independently in the community. And a sample of the events we attend include reality stores, success schools, back to school events, senior fairs, ARC events, and more. We appreciate the many organizations and colleagues who work with us, but we cannot name them all. We also have a fall event coming up on September 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. here at the center. It is open to the public. We are providing free lunch and bingo, a craft, and socialization. Last year's success was very well attended and successful. We're looking forward to this next week. And since we're providing lunch, we do ask that people contact us and register so we have enough food. I'm passing off to Chris.
Good job, Anna. In my role as a public health director, the title came from the grant that we got during COVID. During that time, I started becoming active with the Lawrence County Health Coalition. They've got it down to where they were meeting weekly to discuss COVID. Now they do it every other week or once a month. And they will give you updates. The people on that committee are emergency medical services, the police, fire department, the hospitals, just to give us an idea and a feel for the health of the community. And when things change or going up, then I share that with the staff in the office. And then I'm on the ADA steering committee. They are supported by the Great Lakes of Indiana, and their main service is to support resources and promote the implementation of the ADA. We also advocate for certain issues, and one issue that they are actively advocating against right now or for is since March, we've been reaching out in support of Section 504 under the ADA. We've spoken with Secretary of State's office, a few other people that work under him, trying to get some assurances that our government is not going to change the specifications under 504 and take anything away from the rights of our individuals under the ADA. We, as public health, in addition to these things, last year I got a grant also for emergency radios, which was an opportunity to teach people about emergency preparedness, provide them with an emergency radio and a lot of information about how to prepare for those things. We had a thing that's called File of Life that they could put their medications on the fridge. So it's a step. And then when I do help people leave the nursing facility, I try to put those things in their hands as well so that they have them when they go home. With the support of insilc and the other SILs, SICL is working on a listing for gathering all of the ADA coordinators for the county jails in Indiana. I think that the people in our correctional system get forgotten a lot of times, and this is a way for us to talk to our county jails to find out, how do they do ADA accommodations? How does someone request them? What will they allow? What won't they allow? And then how can we help them to understand why that they're important, or how can we work with them to get some kind of an accommodation done for someone. And then there's a gentleman on the ADA committee that is involved with an ADA on the state level for the prison systems. And I'm going to provide him with this information as well, so he can reach out and try to do some kind of training along behind us. As far as institutional transitions, this has been kind of a good and bad. I mean, it's good because it needs to be done, but you know, there was the day when you'd walk into a nursing facility and they would see that you were with an independent living center, they just almost chase you right back out the door. Things are getting better now. I don't know if it's the changes in the funding and the way things are being handled, but I receive referrals from a lot of the facilities, family members, and former consumers. I was sitting with a gentleman 2 weeks ago in a nursing facility, going over his paperwork and getting resources to find out what he was looking for. And there was another person away after got done with that gentleman. He came over and goes, "So what are you doing with him?" So now I've got someone else I need to meet with. So from that aspect, it's very beneficial actually going into the facilities. The bad part of it is that once you make those relationships, the administrative staffing in these facilities is turning over so quickly. The 3 of the facilities that I work with a lot have all lost their social services people, and they're starting over fresh with somebody new. One of the facilities had the administrator leave again, and she'd only been there for a little over a year. So, you know, it's hard to build that trust with those administrators and the office staff to help those individuals get out when they just keep changing and they have to relearn you. But there is the hope that maybe someone will come in and they will be kinder and listen better. Right now, this year, I've worked with 39 individuals, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're doing institutional transitions and you're the only person that's really doing that, it's quite a bit. They're very time intensive. Last week, I did have 2 individuals that left their facilities and moved back into the community. So that was a party. And I've been able to get them the things that they need without having to rely on Medicaid to get them. Like I know other consumers who've had things like a bedside commode, a lift chair, those types of things that they're just donating. So they don't have to wait on Medicaid or other types of funding to kick in for them to have that. And I also had 2 individuals last week receive notice that they received their home community-based services waiver. So now they're in a position that they need to find an apartment as well. The big hindrance when it comes to transitions is the amount of time on the wait list or the home community-based services waiver. Because if you're in a nursing facility, you're there for a reason. And you can't just go home and automatically be okay without some type of assistance or attendant care a lot of times. And then in our area, all of the wait lists are closed for affordable housing or any kind of supports to pay for housing. So, and then there is even less accessible housing. So those are the things I'm really trying to talk to people about and find out how we can get around that. And but it is a very satisfying, very worthwhile, heartbreaking at times. I've gotten 2 gentlemen out and then like a month later they passed, but at least they got home and they were out of the facility. So, but and then what is it they say? Other duties as assigned. But it's very enjoyable. It's difficult, it's long, it's time consuming, but it's very satisfying and necessary. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Anna.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all. And I was saying thank you to you too. And that's all the time that we had today for that. So thank you.
Thank you. This is Casey. Amy, well, you have a state report?
Yeah, the only thing that I want to report on is we have 2 ways that we are funding the centers right now, and those are through a grant, which is the Part B money, and the state line item. Those grants were set to expire September 30th of this month, end of this month. The amendments have been processed to extend those for 2 more years. I received word this afternoon that all 10 have been signed, so we're good there. All 10 of those agreements will extend for 2 more years. And then the contracts are for the Social Security or the SSA VR money. Those contracts aren't set to expire until September 30th of next year. So we've already begun the process of continuing that funding also. And that's all I have for the DSC report.
Thank you. All right, so this is Casey. Chris, would you like to talk about this spill?
Yes, just real short. We did have our spill public meeting on August 21st, and our next public meeting is on November 17th. It has changed. It's on Mondays now, and it's from 2 o'clock to 3:30, and that will be updated on the website as well. The spill committee work groups continue to work on their projects that they're working on. Data analysis is moving along. They meet a couple times a month if they can. And they have gotten the survey sent out for the SIL needs assessment and waiting to get that data back. And the guardianship and guardianship alternatives has been meeting as well. And we are all on track to meet our goals at this point for the dashboard and for the dates in the spill. And then that's all I've got.
Thank you, Chris. That's good. So Rita Kirsch, would you like to give us an update on the nominations committee?
Okay. The nominating committee.
And if I could step in real quick, Rita, I'm sorry. Casey, we have the slate of officers under new business. So I just want to make sure that we are having things in the right spot.
Okay. Rita, do you want to discuss that when we go under to that new business item? Or do you have any other updates along with it?
I don't have anything extra, no.
Okay.
And Casey, this is Mike. I would just, oh, sorry, go ahead, Rita. I didn't mean to step on you.
You want to do this under new business then?
I think let's do the slate of new officers for new business, but if you don't mind, this would probably be a good opportunity to introduce our new council member under here. Do you care if I do that, Rita? Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Thanks. Casey, is that okay?
Yep, that's fine. Thank you.
Yep. And so you guys will see we have a new attendee today. Dave Schleppenbach was recently appointed by the governor to the council. So he is here to join us. Now, we did send a slate of 3 nominees to the governor's office about this time last year. And it was in limbo for some time. And then we just heard about a month ago from the governor's office, they wanted to approve Dave, which we think is excellent. We're really glad to have him. And then they decided not to move forward with our other 2 nominees. I pushed back on the governor's office a bit, asked for some reasons why, and they just said that right now we just want to move forward with the one. So didn't get a whole lot of reasoning behind that, but we did put forward 3 candidates and we had 1 approved.
Okay. So this is Casey. Thank you, Mike. That gives information there. I'm now going to move to old business, and I do, Mike, I'm going to turn this over to you, but I just want to give you a reminder, please slow down for the interpreter. You're starting to speak a little fast, so.
Oh, sorry about that, everybody. I will try to speak slow. I tend to talk quickly when I get excited, and I actually like all of these things, so and working on them, so it's easy for me to do, but I will make sure to talk slow. So if I'm going too fast, just say something or wave at me or something. But yes, I do want to give you guys an update on the spill and on the cap, and that is the corrective action plan. As you know, we've been meeting with the team from ACL for the last several months as we have worked through this process. And just so everybody knows, you can find the version of the spill and the cap is available on our website. And we do post every monthly update there, so you can see the progress on the cap. The cap has been divided into 8 different issues. And so we'll kind of talk about the progress on those issues. And so I'll kind of walk through these here and give you guys an update. The first finding they had was that we had the lack of a written method for seeking public input and monitoring and evaluation of the spill. And we have been going back and forth with ACL with different revisions of our policy manual in order to address that. And I am very pleased. Kind of our structure that we've been thinking about this is that we've come up with another document that kind of pairs with this called an engagement plan for underserved communities. And we'll talk about that in more detail in a bit. But that engagement plan really talks about the how and the when that we would reach out to certain communities, including the timing of forums and different mechanisms. But the overall process is we want it to be solidified in the policy manual. And we're doing this separately. That way the policy manual is then more evergreen, and we don't have to update the policy manual then every time there's a new spill or a revision to the spill, but that the language about how we're going to do that is consistent in there. And then we can update the engagement plan as often as we need to reflect the current spill and current trends. And kind of walking through the language of that, we'll talk about kind of that specifically in a bit, but we are really, really close to getting this approved by ACL. And so actually when we met with them, I believe it was last week, they only had a few minor revisions that they wanted to see in the current version of the policy manual. And so we're making those revisions now. And it's a couple of phrases and a couple of words that they want to change. But they told us then that we don't have to meet with them anymore. And so we won't have our monthly meetings. And then our plan would be later in this meeting to show you guys the differences in the old policy manual and the new policy manual, and then to vote for the new policy manual when we meet again in December. And then ACL is going to be a guest of ours in December, and they can talk to us about kind of the process. But they said once we do that, they're very ready to close our cap, and that will be officially off the cap. And so that's really exciting that we've gone through that process. And a lot of it's been the policy manual piece, but that on that finding one, it's been getting that policy manual codified so that we show the right pieces in there and the right process for getting public input. And then finding 2 is, again, inadequate documentation of the state planning process. And this, again, refers to how we would get public feedback into the implementation of the spill. And then part of what we've done with this is the creation of the engagement plan and the revision of the policy manual. And we'll go through that engagement plan in a bit, but it's making sure that we have a good process for hearing from the community. And again, ACL, very happy with that. They want to see a few small tweaks, and we will be set to approve the new one in December. And then finding 3, insufficient notice for public meetings. We've changed our approach for that in terms of how we're marketing it and getting that out. And so they closed that. So that is considered closed as of August the 6th. And then finding 4 is failure to actively consult with unserved and underserved populations. And this we think we have really refined with our engagement plan as well that we'll talk about. So this is the last open one on here. And again, the policy manual engagement plan will reflect those new the new procedures on that. And then finding 5 is a lack of a clear way to request accommodations. That has been closed. That was also closed in August. And then finding 6 is an inadequate process and timeline for advance notice for executive sessions. That has also been closed. So we've corrected that in terms of how we give notice for an executive session. And then finding 7 is inadequate monitoring and review process for the spill. And now that we have put together a spill dashboard, which we'll also review in a bit, they consider that finding closed as well. And then the last finding is that we did not have a dispute resolution policy for if there are questions or a dispute as we go through the spill process. And so we have that policy in place, and ACL also closed that finding. So again, we've closed many of the findings, and the last piece of that it will be once we do this final small round of revisions to the policy manual, and that we all vote to approve that in December. And ACL will be here to talk about that. And they were really, really pleased with the effort that we made. And they actually encouraged us to consider presenting about all the progress that we've made at the Silk Congress, which is a conference in March. And so we're considering looking into that, and pretty great from where we were to the fact that we're getting ready to close the cap, and they're saying that we should talk about the successes that we've had to the rest of the country. So I'm pretty pleased with everybody who's worked on that, and lots of folks have touched it and been involved with it. So it's really been a team effort. So thanks to everybody. And again, we will, the spill is up, and then this cap update will be posted on the website as well, so people can see that progress. That's what I have for that.
Right, and this is Casey. I need to clarify that originally, we had thought we were gonna have a vote on this, but because we have that it still is not within that final approval, there will not be a vote today on that, so it will be at the December meeting. So there is an asterisk on this
good
item
point.
under old business, but we will not be voting today. So,
Thank you, Casey. Yes.
all right. Second item, policy manual. Mike, you've got most of these, so.
Yeah, that's fine. So I wish I could do a different voice or something to make this a little bit less monotone. Maybe if I have more prep for December, I'll try singing one of these to make it a little bit more interesting. But I do want to walk through the policy manual, let you guys know some of the changes. And so to help you with this, you have a couple things. You have a Word document and a PDF, which is the entire policy manual for the organization. And then we also put together an Excel sheet that lists the differences between the last time that we voted for this policy manual, which would have been summer of 2024, and this current version as you guys have in front of you now. And so to kind of make this a little bit easier, I'm going to go through the items, and I'm going to look at the spreadsheet, at the Excel sheet, to help folks kind of walk through some of the differences here. And so we've added a glossary of abbreviations. That way people know, what we're talking about. And we try to remove abbreviations when we can. And then one of the big differences is the second line item on there, and that's the addition of the stakeholder input policy. And if you're looking at your policy manual, I won't read it word for word for you, but it is on page 8 of the policy manual, and it talks about the policy and procedure. I will read the policy because the policy is pretty short. The Indiana Statewide Independent Living Council, insilc, is committed to ensuring that the state plan for independent living, the SPIL, is developed with broad and meaningful input from stakeholders, including individuals with disabilities, centers for independent living, CILs, service providers, advocates, and members of the public. This policy outlines the methods and procedures insilc may use to obtain input from stakeholders in the creation of its SPIL. And then when you look through here, it talks under the procedures. It's a few pages, so I don't want to read this word for word, but it's a lot about kind of that we would do some of the different forums and methods that we would use to reach out to those groups. And then I think one of the things that primarily we want folks to notice is that there's reference in here to insilc's engagement plan. And that is really where we're going to talk about like the timing and the how-tos of the different input policies. We wanted the policy manual to talk about the different methods that we may use in kind of a big global sense that could be applied to every iteration of the SPIL. But then every time that we do a SPIL, we should write a brand new engagement plan that talks about how we're going to do these things as far as like even calendarizing and timing and who we're going to recruit. So we'll talk about that engagement plan in a bit. But this policy is in here. It's a few pages. I do want to have folks make sure that you have a chance to look through that. It talks about how the meetings will be recorded and disseminated. It talks about continuous improvement in here. And it really gives, I think, a good methodology for ways that we're going to get SPIL input. And this ACL has reviewed this. Our technical advisor has reviewed this. So we've had several people look at this and comment on this process. And as Casey said, we don't expect folks to vote today. We just want to have a chance to introduce things to you guys. And then you have really until the next meeting on December 10th to review that. So if you have questions after this meeting, you can reach out, or things that you want to talk about. We want to make sure everybody's really comfortable with the language in here before we put it to a vote in December.
All right.
And then the next line, oh, I'm sorry, did I hear?
This is Casey.
Yeah, go
I
ahead, Casey.
want to open the floor if there's anybody that has any questions or anything about either of those two items before we move to the next item. Does anyone of the council have any questions or concerns about what's been discussed so far?
This is Dave Schleppenbach. I had a question on the cap approval. So, did I hear that correctly? The plan is to have all of those items closed before the vote is made to approve the cap?
This is Casey. Yes, that is correct. We wanted to wait until we had all of those signed off, and the last few items that needed to be taken care of, it was honestly word revisions. It was as far as the language of it. So that's where they actually said, go ahead and, once you make those changes, send it to us, we'll go ahead and approve it. But then we would, because we met with them late last week, we weren't going to try to ask everyone to read through the whole policy manual in 3 days. So that's where we said we'll wait until the December meeting to vote on it. So
Okay, thank you. Very good.
yeah. Any other questions, concerns about the cap, or if you've had a chance to look at the policy manual at all? So.
And Casey, I could hit a couple more highlights on the policy manual if you'd like.
I actually had a question on the policy manual. This is a technical question. I see areas that are highlighted in yellow. Are those areas that are subject to further completion, or are they called out for special notice, or what is the purpose of that?
Yeah, this is Mike, Dave. And so those were highlighted. Those were the newest additions that we made before the policy manual went in front of ACL before our last meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Catherine here. I have a question. I have reviewed the manual myself. No questions. I thought it looked really good, and I think it was a good, because it's very much needed. A policy manual has been needed for a long time.
Thank you, Catherine. Casey, do you want me to hit a couple more highlights on the policy manual, or do you want to move on to the next item in the agenda?
It is 3:12. Why don't we go ahead and go on to the next item? Make sure we get through everything and still have time for a second round of comments.
Okay. And then I'm up next for the engagement plan. Do you want me to go ahead and walk through that, Casey?
Yes, please.
Okay, and then everyone should have a copy of the engagement plan for underserved communities. And if you remember, in this version of the spill, we identified 4 groups as our key target underserved communities. And those are veterans, folks who live in rural communities, youth, and racial and ethnic minorities. And if you look at the engagement plan, we have different goal, some engagement strategies, key messaging, and timelines for each one of those groups. And under that timeline, it'll say even when we're going to reach out to those groups, if we're going to attend an event, we're going to hold a focus group for each one of those over the course of the next couple of years of the spill. And this is where we want this kind of information to live. And so kind of really, again, that timing, that who are the underserved groups that we're looking at, how we're going to reach out to them, the methodology for doing that. And again, the purpose of this is we think that we would have a new engagement plan at least once every spill. So every 3 years, when we write a new spill, we should have a new engagement plan that addresses these issues. And this lets the policy manual stay pretty much as is But let this engagement plan be very active, very current, and very up to date. I don't want to read through, I mean, it's 3 pages. I don't really want to read through that. Hopefully folks have had a chance to look at this, but one of the things that we really wanted to do was, again, that structure of who we want to reach out to, what the strategies are, and that could be like focus groups or school partnerships we have on here for youth, multilingual materials for folks that are that speak different languages, and then a time frame for how we're going to do that. And we thought that that would be a really good way for us to understand it and also keep track and make sure that we're staying on target as far as getting these things done in a timely manner. And then the very last piece is that cross-cutting strategies. So those are some strategies that go across groups that we can use to reach all of them, such as accessibility first, storytelling, and then evaluating our process on all of this. So we think this is really good. This has also been vetted by ACL and our technical advisor. So we're really, I think, proud of what we've put together here. And this one they are very comfortable with, and so we would like an approval on this plan for this iteration of this bill. But we would, of course, entertain questions and comments first.
This is Dave again. I have a few questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay, first, another technical question. I see some items in yellow. Is that, again, highlighting changes from the previous version?
Yes, those are, yeah, that's exactly right, Dave. Yep.
Okay, the second question I have, there's a lot of activity here, focus groups, attending events. And I know we haven't gotten to this yet, but in looking at the budget, there's not a lot of staff. And so are you confident that the amount of events and attendance that you're committing to, you have sufficient staff to be able to do all of that plus your regular duties?
That's a good question, Dave. And yes, I think we can. And one of the really interesting things when we do this, when you look at, we can talk about this when we talk about the spill dashboard, where we see kind of all of these things kind of lined up, is that you can a lot of times we'll host a forum and it can count as 2 or 3 items on the spill, sort of a deliverable. We can check off several things by having it built the right way and kind of thinking through that. So I mean, I think we can. And from a budget perspective, this would all be in the program part of the budget. And I think we have that covered. So I feel pretty good about that, but it is always something that I'm thinking about, is potentially, is it time for us to grow or not? I don't know that we're there yet, but it is something that, as as the director, that I do think about, and kind of weighing those options and making sure that we're prepared.
Okay, so you feel comfortable that the budget already includes sufficient for the attending or hosting of the events, whatever costs are associated. I noticed on one of the items, on item number 4, there's a line item about identifying a trainer by Q2 2026. Would that cost of the trainer also be in the current budget?
Yes, there's a couple different spots that can come from, but it's from that program budget. Is kind of where all of the spill activities live.
Okay, and then the final comment I have, I personally was very pleased to see storytelling as one of your cross-cutting strategies. I think that's a fantastic way to reach out to different communities, and probably not something that I've seen a lot of groups embrace. I can just speak from my own personal experience, being of Native American heritage, that storytelling is a very important part of that culture. And sometimes when you have a very technical approach or business-like approach to an issue, it may not resonate with a particular culture. And I would say, Mike, I commend you that you are extremely technically proficient and business-like, but that actually may be not always the perfect way of communicating with certain groups. So I think it's great that you've thought about that storytelling aspect.
Yeah, that really is important. And I think as we start to do that, I would love to get more feedback on how to best, frame things, and for you and for other folks who have experience with that to, lend some thoughts and suggestions would be really nice.
That completes my questions and comments.
Okay. This is
And
Casey.
I see Ann's got her hand raised, Ann Barnhart.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I had a comment. I'm glad to see that we are going to be engaging with youth and putting them in control or have some control of what we're going to be doing, because us as adults can sit around and think, oh, this sounds good, but whether it will fly with teenagers or younger people is another question. So I'm glad that we're going to be having them in a leadership role as well.
So this is Casey. I did want to thank you for that comment, and because that is something that I feel is really very important as well. To be a peer-to-peer thing, as you said. In response to Dave, as far as the concern about do we have enough individuals to handle the groups and so forth. We also have, within our spill, we could potentially create work groups or people to help facilitate that. And if there are any of the members of this council that are interested in working with that as well, we can do that as well. I mean, if not, it doesn't all have to be Mike, so I'm not gonna say everybody's required to do it, but I'm just saying that, that's why we're here, to make those changes, so.
Casey, I think that's where I was headed. I was waiting for the ask for volunteers.
All right.
Good lead in, Dave. And now you said it publicly, so just remember that.
Yes. All right. Was there any other comments about the engagement plan? Any other thoughts? Okay. All right, if we do not have any other comments or discussions, then we will need to have a vote. I need someone to make a motion for accepting the engagement plan, and then we'll need a second, and then we'll vote.
This is Anna, and I make a motion to approve.
This is Ann. I second the motion.
This is Casey, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the engagement plan as presented. And we will now do a roll call vote. First off, we have Anna.
This is Anna. I approve.
Jennifer.
This is Jennifer David. I approve.
Amy.
This is Amy Browning Barble. I approve.
Ann.
This is Ann. I approve.
Christina.
I have to abstain because I had to step away for a minute. So I just got back, so I didn't hear.
Okay, no worries. Catherine.
Hi, this is Catherine. I approve.
Dave.
This is Dave. I vote yes.
Okay, and this is Casey. I vote yes as well. All right, so the motion passes. Our next item is the spill dashboard. Mike, can you explain what that is and what we're potentially asking for a vote on?
Yes, and so everyone should have gotten in their material a copy of the spill dashboard. It's an Excel sheet. It does have several tabs. We are working on a way to provide a simpler version. What we wanted to do was really create a structure so that we are able to track all of the different spill goals and deliverables. And so what we've done is that we've broken them down into a few different tabs here. You'll see a spill deliverable goal 1, a spill deliverable goal 2, goal 3, and then we have a goal 1 summary. We will add a goal 2 and goal 3 summary, and then we will have a piece for some PPR data on here. And what we did is under each row, and so if I'm looking at spill deliverable 1, we listed out each deliverable under the spill, who is responsible, and the time frame for which that is due. And then what we did is we keyed each one for if we're on track, if it needs work, and then if we are overdue. And for some of these indicators here, it could be things like our quarterly public forums might meet several of these different goals, but we wanted to list them individually. And we wanted to do that because we're going to have to report it that way to ACL by each indicator and each deliverable timeframe. And we think that this spill dashboard is going to be the best way for us to track it in terms of a mechanism. Now, the data that's in this spill dashboard will change, and it should really be consistently being updated as we have different events, as we do different things, as we mark these off, as we watch the timelines grow. And so what we would like to do as a spill committee and then as a staff is use this mechanism to report to the council on the current progress of the spill and using this as a framework to do that. And so because the data that's in the dashboard will be changing on a consistent basis, we're not asking you today to approve the data that's in the dashboard, because that will constantly be changing and constantly be getting updated. But what we wanted to do is to make sure that this structure of a reporting mechanism is something that the council would be able to use. What I like to see, if I'm looking at just kind of the overall health of the dashboard or the overall health of the spill, is that first tab, which is the dashboard piece, where you can actually see a graph on the right side that talks about overall spill status, and then each spill goal. It shows the number of indicators, and it shows you which ones are on track or need work or overdue. And then there is a chart on the left where it shows you kind of how many are on track, how many need work, and how many are overdue. And then we have a spot in the bottom to where we can highlight some of the current deliverables. And that is more objectives. Those are just ones that we think might be important to have the council look at, or specific ones that we're proud of, or that we think the council needs to think about or to address. But what we'd really like to do today is to open this up for discussion in terms of the format and the kind of material that we're presenting. And then what we're asking for, again, from the council is just to vote on this dashboard as a mechanism for doing that. So not necessarily approving all of the data, because again, it's going to change frequently, but just this is a reporting method and as a way for the council to stay up to date on the spill progress.
Right, so this is Casey. So as we've given the explanation, I hope you've taken a look at it. Is there any comments or questions about what you see?
This is Dave again. I have a few questions.
Yes.
Sure.
So first question, the data that's entered, is that entered manually?
It is, yes, it is entered manually, yeah.
Okay, I would recommend, if you have not done this already, to consider having a second staff person audit the spreadsheet for two purposes. One, confirm that all the data entry is correct with a second pair of eyes or ears. And secondly, confirm that the formulas that pull the data together, especially on the first tab, are correct and referencing the correct cells in the spreadsheet. I have had a lot of experiences in the past with spreadsheets that aggregate data having problems with errors in the formula or errors in the input.
It's a great point, Dave. And I would say a little bit more kind of on the process of that. And so Katie Myers, Katie's our operations manager. So she and I meet weekly. And about every other week, we go through we kind of go through pieces of this spreadsheet to make sure that we're, in agreement with kind of how we are on this process. And then we also have this go in front of the spill committee. So the spill committee is kind of the committee that really oversees this. And they have a public meeting the month before we meet as a council. So we're meeting today in September. They met August, I think Chris said it was August 23rd, I think it was, where they reviewed this data. And so then the idea would be that Katie and I, and potentially Casey, or whomever wants to look at the spreadsheet, can do that And then we would show that to and review it with the spill committee when they meet publicly in the month before the council. And then we would take that, the spill committee looked at and vetted to the full council at the next meeting. So then hopefully by the time the council sees this, I've been working with it, Katie's been working with it, potentially any other council members that want to see it, and then the spill committee have reviewed it before it goes to the council. So hopefully there's going to have been several eyes that will have seen it by the time the full council does, to make sure that it's as accurate as we can get it.
Okay.
Catherine has a question.
This is Casey. Go ahead, Catherine.
Go ahead. So just to follow up with the with Dave's proposal, I had seen some of them. I don't know if maybe that you already know this, but some of the sills or the benefits like of their on the dashboard and their coordinators maybe working just to make sure that everything on the dashboard is actually included, like the math, the Excel, like everything with the equations is done, and maybe having them audit that themselves, and then maybe having like a volunteer to see how that process is going later. And you know, it's just a little tidbit there.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Catherine, is making sure we want to make sure that enough people have seen this to make sure we're presenting as accurate of information as we can, and the spreadsheet's working the way that we intend.
All right. So that is Casey. I do thank you very much, Catherine. That's a very good point. Because I know the spill, there's a lot of areas where it says the spill says that input will be received from the cells of that data. So that is where Mike should be working with the cells to obtain that data from them. And I'm thinking with that, it would probably be worth asking, having maybe even sharing that, just as we're planning to put this on the website, sharing it with all, as far as the information with the cells that they can, like you said, to confirm that that information is correct. Now, most of the data that is on there is what we've been putting on there is what the insilc has been working on. But yes, overall for the spill dashboard, it does need to include the other sills as well. One of the things that we did really try to do is to basically when during creating putting this together and stuff, a lot of the spill was based off of the PPR report, the program performance report, so that so it wasn't creating additional work for the sills. And that was one of the focuses, as far as with, so that the sills would not have to be creating or tracking a whole lot of extra things. So that was something that was really important with the spill work groups and stuff that was working on this, was trying to make this and a process that would be easy to collect data and be able to report out to our communities.
I have some additional questions.
Go ahead, David.
So this good dialogue so far. I agree with the comments so far. So I want to give a specific example to make sure I understand this correctly. There is a tab labeled Spill Deliverables Goal 1, and there's an item on there, number 2, that references 2% increase in services provided. And then it's got an indicator, which is a PPR services show a 2% increase annually in services provided, and that is assigned to the sills. So my question is, since that is self-reporting of data that's generated at the sill, is there any way to validate or check that that self-reporting is accurate from the standpoint of governance at the insilc level?
All right, so this is Casey. The silk does not provide any governance to the sills. So what they report on their program performance report is their data, and we do not provide governance or tell the sills what they're responsible for.
Okay, in that case, I might recommend for this dashboard, if it were to be made public, that there be an asterisk or a statement that this is simply a report of the data that's been self-reported, and not not an opinion of in the insilc, for example, something along those lines.
Okay. Thank you. That's a good suggestion.
And then the final comment I have, again, this is more a softer, not a technical. I was very pleased to see a colorful chart next to the numerical data. There are quite a few people that struggle with numerical data. It's difficult to interpret. And so having a simplified, colorful chart with very few words or numbers is quite helpful. And maybe if this were to be made into a public facing document, like was referenced on a website, make that part the biggest and most visible.
This is Casey. That was one of the things that when we were trying to identify a method of how do we present this information, is we have all populations that that we want this to be available to. So, you know, all populations within the disability community. So that includes those with cognitive impairments, that includes those with vision impairments, it includes those with, you know, across the board. So that's where we were trying to make sure we were hitting those types of things. Now, one of the things is, yes, this was presented as an Excel sheet to this group. Like I said, we're trying to get the format to start with, but what would go on the website would be potentially in multiple formats so that we have that accessibility. So
A key component there would be that the tabular data is accessible to a screen reader for those who use screen readers, which is a problem that can happen if a spreadsheet is just automatically converted to the website. And so it's good that you've thought about those things.
Christina?
Yeah, if there's a way that you could keep the column headings, like, so where you scroll through, so you don't have to go back and go, what was this column? You know, to keep them so you can see the column headings at all time. That'd be nice, but.
This is Casey. Yes, that's absolutely something that could be added, I think, as far as on the tabs that have the multiple headings, or we need to place in multiple lines with headings if we can't keep it where it scrolls. So I thank you for that comment. Okay. Any other comments, thoughts, recommendations?
And Casey, this is Mike, and there were lots of good comments about ways that we could refine that. We are not, excuse me, locked down into having to vote for this for approval today. If people want to see us make some of these changes and bring it back in December, that is a viable path forward too. If people, you know, if people would feel more comfortable with that, that's perfectly, you know, fine to move forward that way as well.
All right, can everybody share? Would you prefer to see it? Do we need to vote on this? Oh, actually, okay, let's do it this way. I would need a motion of.
Catherine here. I would prefer to wait if possible.
Okay. All right, can somebody make a motion to postpone this to the December meeting, table the item to the December meeting to be voted on once the revisions are made?
This is Jennifer David. I make a motion to table until December meeting.
Catherine here motion to move it to the next public meeting in December.
All right. So Catherine, is that a second from you? I saw.
Yes, I second.
All right, this is Casey. Let's do the vote on that. So we have Anna.
This is Anna, and I vote to move it to the December meeting.
Okay. Jennifer.
This is Jennifer David. I vote to meet or to wait until the December meeting.
Okay, this is Katie. I'm going to clarify the motion just to make sure it's clear. The motion is to table this spill dashboard until the December meeting after the revisions are made. So you can just say yes or no at this point. Amy?
This is Amy Browning Varble, and I vote yes.
Okay. Anne,
This is Anne. I vote yes.
Christina,
This is Christina. I vote yes.
Catherine, was that a yes? I didn't see. Okay,
Yes,
sorry.
yes, yes, yes.
Sorry.
You know the same, yes.
And Dave.
This is Dave. I vote yes.
Okay. And this is Casey. I also vote yes. So, all right. Thank you all very much. The motion passes. It will be, we will bring it back for old business at the December meeting to make sure that everybody has a chance to review it. All right, so our next item is new business. And the first thing up is the consent agenda discussion.
Yes, and so this is something that came out of our conversations with different folks, including our conversations with ACL about ways to improve this meeting and make this meeting more effective, which is something, you know, that we all want to do. And one of the suggestions that was brought up is using a consent agenda. And you guys have a handout that kind of talks a little bit about this. And what this would do in terms of practicality would be taking some of the items that we presented on for a little while today and condensing those into one vote. And so if you guys look at the agenda for today's meeting, probably what we would look at doing is looking at that section, would be section 8, the committees and state update reports, where the executive director report, the treasurer report, and the spill committee report. We would condense all of those down into one, and then we would do a roll call vote for all of them. And so we would say, if, you know, we'd have a motion to approve the consent agenda, a second, and then we would do a roll call vote to approve that consent agenda. And this has a couple of benefits. As far as time saving, we don't have to hear all of the reports every single month. Lets us speed through, have maybe more time for discussion, more time for public comment, more times to do other productive things. But it also assumes a couple of things. One, it assumes that we get you guys this information to review plenty of time before the meeting, so you have a chance to review it before the meeting. And the second assumption is that everybody takes the time to review those things, because we may not go over them individually in the meeting. So we would need us as staff to make sure you have it in time to review it, and then you guys as council members to do so. And then also, if you have questions, if we put something into the consent agenda, you could always comment before the meeting and say, I would like to pull this out and go over this in more detail. Like if somebody had a question about the treasurer report or about the spill committee report, and they said, I'd like to go over this in more detail, then we could pull it out and feature it in that meeting. And alternatively, another thing that I've seen that's happened is that on a rotating basis, you'll have one of these committees, one of these reports get pulled out for further discussion. So we might do like maybe every September, the treasurer report is going to be walked through in more specifics because that's a budget year. And maybe in a different month, we will highlight the spill report, or in another month, we'll highlight my executive director report or a different, you know, a different report. But it lets us kind of speed through this process and make it, I think, more efficient and maybe a little bit better use of our time. And we did talk to our legal counsel that we do have on contract. He had a chance to review this and make sure that it does comply with open door and all of that. So we are allowed to do a consent agenda. We would just need to make sure that when we approve that consent agenda, that we do it in the form of a roll call. So just like our other votes, we would have to go through, you know, a council member roll call to approve that consent agenda. So there's benefits, I think, as far as efficiency, but also that means you don't get to hear that report read out loud every month. So that is one of the side consequences of that. And we don't, and the thought was that we weren't going to vote on this today, whether or not we want to move forward. We wanted to present it to the council, let you guys ask questions, let us talk about it, and then we'll vote for it either at the December meeting, or you may even call a special session before that to have it ready for the December meeting if we decide to move forward. But it was a good option that a couple people have presented as a way to make these meetings a little bit more engaging and efficient. So want to run that by you guys and open the floor for conversation and discussion.
I have a comment. This is Dave.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I have used consent agendas in boards in the past. So just from experience, I can tell you there are trade-offs with every format, as you know. One thing to be aware of, it tends to increase the amount of time taken by either the chair or the principal, which in this case would be the executive director, because you end up having conversations with the same conversation potentially with different people. So it shifts the time commitment from in the meeting to before the meeting, which may be a great idea. Just be aware of that going into it, that you're not necessarily reducing work, you're just shifting the nature of that work.
Dave, have you found when you've used that before? I fully hear you about shifting the work. Have you found that that's improved like board member engagement or anything during the meetings or a conversation or anything like that?
I think any time that board members can discuss either with you, Mike, or the chair outside of the board meeting is valuable, because it gives a chance to get into more context and more nuance than in a public meeting when time is a severe constraint. So that is a positive. It also helps you to determine if board members are getting a chance to absorb the information and ask the right questions. This was a lot of documents that we got with relatively short amount of time, and it's difficult to parse through all of that. So I think that also, however, requires you to have those documents available quicker. The
Yeah.
pace of this board meeting, which is roughly every 2 months, it looks like, is pretty fast. So that's a lot of work in between. And again, I come back to the budget, just make sure that you're prepared to do all of that work.
Okay, good. That's good feedback. I see a couple of hands raised. I think I saw Catherine. I think I saw you first, and then Anna.
Let me. I want to follow up with Dave's comment. There's positive and negatives to this, but I have another way. I am on a board for another organization, and they have their monthly board meetings only for board members. And they have a discussion about topics, issues, accounting, like different reports, and all of that is voted there. And then we take that to the general public meeting, and all of that is voted on and ratified in there. Plus, it saves time, in the general meetings, really. So we have, a condensed report of what we have done so far, and we do have monthly meetings that we have communicated with each other, what's going on in the organization and so forth, and then we have our public general meeting, and it seems to work. And maybe that's another tip that we could do that going forward.
All right, this is Casey. I need to respond to that. Due to the open door laws, we have specific rules we have to follow regarding that, and we are allowed to meet and discuss things on certain things, but we are not allowed to meet and make any decisions on things that, the votes definitely have to happen in the public meetings, and so there's very limited things that we're allowed to do private meetings on. and it, or not, not private meetings, but it's executive session meetings on. There's a very set parameters per open door law because of the type of council we are. So unfortunately, that's not an option just to meet on our own on a regular basis. So.
I think I saw Anna and then Ann raise their hands. So Anna, would you like to go?
Yes, this is Anna, sorry. My comment or question would be if we did do a consent meeting as presented in the email, what would the time frame be? Because Dave had a very good point on how long it takes to go through documents.
So this is Casey. I honestly, as far as the documents, I don't know that it will shorten your time on the documents. But where this could really be beneficial is when we are doing, like the minutes and so forth. Instead of having to do roll call every single time for every vote, that would allow us, that we would have the, those specific items would be, okay, we would approve it as is and not have to do a roll call for every vote type thing. Right now, as it is, we're required to do that roll call unless we have this consent type of agenda. So
This is Anna. I don't think I was clear in my question. My question is, how
sorry.
long before the meeting would we have the documents to review so that we would be able to be to speak intelligently or to vote intelligently on what we're supposed to talk about? That would be my only hang up with the consent, because when I received the consent and was able to review the email, I told Mike that it was an awesome idea. But the time frame before would impact my vote.
It's a good question, Anna, and I would think that as insilc staff, we would want you guys to have all of the material on a consent agenda like at a minimum of a week in advance, and ideally, 10 days would be even better. But I would think a week at minimum, for sure. And and that would, as David mentioned, would require us to rethink our processes a little bit and make sure that we can make that happen. I think we can. We just have to adjust a few things. And then I should say too, as we think about the consent agenda, if we decide to try it, we're not voting on it forever. Like we could try the consent agenda, try that for a meeting or two, and then if we decide, oh, this isn't working for whatever reason, we could always go back. We're not committing to it for eternity.
This is Anna. Thank you, Mike and Casey. That did answer my question.
And I saw Ann's hand next and then Amy.
This is Ann. I would just say that if we decide to do the consent agenda, that I like the idea of like every month or every meeting highlighting one of the aspects and bringing it forward. So like there would be like one report instead of numerous ones, but I like the idea of highlighting one at least.
Thanks, Ann. And Amy, I saw you had your hand up as well.
Yes, this is Amy Browning Varble, and I just wanted to clarify that what the consent agenda would be doing is we would just be making a blanket vote for committee reports, correct? Not the individual things that we need to vote on aside from just committee reports, right?
Yes, this is Mike, and that is correct, Amy. So for today, for example, I think if we would have done the consent agenda, we would have approved the committee reports in item 8, but then we still would have individually voted on the engagement plan, on the spill dashboard, on the budget, and on the new council members. That would have happened as separate votes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, this is good discussion. I see, did I see a hand? No.
Yes,
It's
Catherine
like,
has her
oh,
hand up.
Catherine, I'm sorry, Catherine. Yes, Catherine raised her hand.
Yeah, I would like to respond. Well, I guess ask a question to Casey. This may be a little bit off point. In respect of time, line number like on number 4, should we discuss the proposal to extend that time, or do we just want to keep it? Is it on track? Because it's almost 4 now. Time-wise, right now, it's almost 4.
Okay. So this is Casey. Yes, we do need to move on. So we need to at least get the budget approval done and then council members, so let's start with, yes. So since this was a discussion, this was not to be a vote for today. Please consider this and we will bring this up again in December. If you have any further questions and stuff on it, we'll go from there. So, let's start with the budget approval. Let's see if we can try to get these last 2 through quickly, so.
This is Anna, and I'm going to try to hit the high points for the budget proposal for our next fiscal year. We are anticipating a total contributed income of $266,403. And our total earned income, we're anticipating $18,240, bringing our total gross profit to $284,643. Our total operating expenses would be $52,440. Our total personnel expenses would be $225,389. Our total program expenses would be $83,000, bringing our total expenses to $360,000, $829. We have a net operating loss of $76,186. Our expenses, just a couple of things here. Our income was reduced by 5% due to state budget cuts. We are seeking grant opportunities to replace and expand on the Humana grant and are submitting 2 new grants for the coming fiscal year. And our expenses have increased partially due to our full-time staff. And our anticipated pull for fiscal year 26 is $76,186, and for fiscal year 27, $85,000. And our anticipated reserve balance for the coming year is $522,807. Our goal is 6 months expenses and reserves, and our reserves are in good shape due to the management and work that has been put into our budgeting so far. And that's for the years we didn't have staff, just pointing that out.
I have a few questions if that's okay. This is Dave.
Yes.
Thank you, Anna. I am asking a few questions for myself, but hopefully will be helpful for others. So you can confirm that this budget does address the 5% cut that all agencies received by the state.
Yes, Mike and I have discussed that and went over that. And of course, we also have our reports from our accounting as well.
Okay, and then the second question, the governor's office had asked agencies to also hold a voluntary reversion fee of another 5% on a per agency basis. Was insilc asked to hold that money back?
I'm seeing some shaking of the head, and I'm also going to, I'm on my phone, so I don't know if I can see everyone that everyone else can
That's-
see or not. My office got really noisy in the middle of our meeting, and I had to relocate to our closet.
And this is Mike. I
so
can
Mike,
jump in and say that no, we were not asked.
Okay.
okay,
Provision.
sorry
Yeah.
about that.
It's okay. I
okay.
am going through this partly because, at least from my perspective, selfishly, I feel the budget is the most important topic of the meeting today. And secondly, I just want to make sure there's no surprises that come up later in the year. The next question, if I look at the fiscal year 25 estimated actuals and compare to the fiscal year 26, I see there was a positive net operating income of about $80,000 in 25. And then in 26, it's estimated at a negative 76, which to me indicates those two largely offset each other. And so your position would end up about the same as you started 25 at the end of 26. Is that correct?
Yes,
I'm
that's
going to
correct.
say yes to that.
Yes,
And
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to step on your
that's
toes.
okay. That's okay. And Mike can help me out and correct me anytime. I know that one of the things that we were afraid to do in our coming budget is to overestimate our income. So we did not count any grants that we have not received. And we are applying for grants and hoping to build off of what we received with the Humana, but we did not want to count anything for that in case something does not work out.
Okay, very good. And I appreciate the conservative viewpoint. That's the best approach when budgeting. So it looks like your position at the end of 26 would be no worse off than the position entering 2025, which is a very good thing. And you have all of 2026 fiscal year and all of 2027 fiscal year to attempt to get additional grant income to offset the two pulls that you have listed for fiscal year 26 pull and fiscal year 27.
That is correct.
Yep.
Okay? Then if your goal for reserves is 6 months in expense reserved, you seem to be well in excess of that figure, correct?
Yep.
That is correct. And as I stated, part of our reason we have such a large reserve for anyone that is worried about that is because we were without any staff, without really a whole lot of movement in Silk for a while. And Mike and Katie and Casey and I think everyone's trying to work hard to ensure that we're improving from that.
And then the interest income, is that on the reserve money that's invested in an account somewhere?
Mike, is that our sweep?
That is the sweep account. So we've
Okay.
got, we have a sweep that we use, and I can go into more specifics for anybody that at some point if they want to know how that works. But we've been able to get a pretty good interest and make some pretty decent money off of just having that sweep account set up.
Okay, very good. These are all very good things. I think fiscally this has been handled extremely well, so I commend you all on that. I have a couple suggestions that I would just like to put on the table for consideration. I have some concerns that the amount of activity you have to undertake may require additional help. You have a pretty low expense, especially for personnel, and a lot of activities to do. And given your position with the significant reserve interest income and your conservative approach on additional income, I would like to propose a couple ideas for consideration. One would be that the amount of the interest income, we consider allowing that to be spent on additional helping personnel or event management for the events that you're trying to schedule. You would be able to still retain a neutral position in your reserve if you were only using the interest for that extra help. It's not a huge amount, but it could definitely help with the events that you've got listed on the calendar. And then the second is, if you are to receive additional grants, to come back and ask to spend some of that grant money towards, again, the purposes of the the silk, I think it would be good to revisit the budget. So in other words, if you were to get another $100,000 grant and you wanted to spend some percentage of that, I think that should reopen the budget so that you can get permission to do that. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, that does. I mean, Dave, and I've always, my approach is I would much rather come to the council and say, we've got this extra money and here's how I would like to spend it, rather than coming to the council and saying we didn't get the money we were expecting and here's where I have to make cuts. And so, that is always something that I'm thinking about. And we don't, like, for the purpose of the full council meeting, we don't go into each individual line item on the budget, but it is available line by line to the council. So I'm happy to send that to anybody who wants to see it. And we do have some budgeting in there for like some contractor help with like marketing and outreach and some of the event stuff. So we do have some of that addressed. We just kind of shrink that into a more digestible version for the council because it's a lot when you see each individual line item. But that level of budget detail is available to any council member who wants to see it. So if you'd like to see the full line by line item, I'm happy to share that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take a look at that. I guess to summarize what I'm thinking of, there should be a little bit of flexibility given to the director, in my opinion, to spend within a reasonable guideline. And if you suddenly needed an extra $18,000 of expense that wasn't accounted for, that's a pretty small percentage of your overall budget. And it's anticipated you're going to earn roughly that much in interest anyway. Can we authorize some small deviation factor that doesn't require a vote every time in order for the director to pursue that expense? I think that might be worth considering. I don't know if you've done that in the past, but I wanted to put that on the table.
Hey Dave, this is Casey. At this point, the bylaws state that things over $10,000 have to be approved by the council. So
Okay. And just curious from my own knowledge, are bylaws editable by the board?
okay, they are approved by the
Yeah.
council, by the board members. Yes.
Okay, so not for this meeting, but I would just like to offer that we consider in the future maybe looking at that specific figure and phrasing it as a percentage as opposed to a flat number. So maybe an either or. This is what I've seen with boards in the past, and I'll give an example, either up to 10,000 or 3% of the overall budget. It seems to me that that number is fairly low, and I'm just trying to prevent having to re-meet about a budget every 2 months. So that may be selfish on my part, but I would like to streamline that process. And if everyone disagrees with me, then I'm perfectly fine with keeping it as it is.
Okay. All right. So this is Casey. We are now almost, but we're 6 minutes over, so we need to wrap up fairly soon, very quickly because of the interpreting. So if we're willing to accept this budget, which we need someone to make a motion to accept the budget and second.
I will move that we accept the budget as it stands.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second. This is Ann.
Okay. This is Casey. We have a motion on the table to accept the budget as it stands, as it was presented. I need a roll call vote of Anna,
This is Anna, yes.
Jennifer,
This is Jennifer David, yes.
Amy.
This is Jennifer David, yes.
Okay, thank you. Amy,
This is Amy, yes.
Ann,
This is Ann, yes.
Christina,
This is Christina, yes.
Catherine,
This is Catherine, yes.
and Dave.
This is Dave, yes.
Okay, and yes on my behalf too. All right, so this is
Hey,
Casey.
Casey,
Yes.
this is Katie. Who was the person who made the motion?
So it was Dave that made the motion.
Thank you.
All right. Now we have to do this before the end of the month, so we're gonna go through and try to get this done. We have our new council members. Rita, are you able to please give that information?
Yes. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, good. Yeah, the nominating committee met a couple of times and we had 10 applicants, and the committee narrowed it down to 3 names, and those 3 names are Katrina Kelly, Julie Schur, and Tiffany Neal. And we put those names out for consideration.
All right, thank you. Mike, do you have any additional information on this?
Yes, yeah, and I can just share just really quick to let everybody know, as Rita said, we had 10 applicants. 8 of the folks had at least one disability. 2 people who applied said that they were parents of people with disabilities. 10 out of the 10 do not work for a SIL. So we had a lot of people with disabilities reaching out that do not currently work for a SIL. And then 10 of them identified as being advocates in their community. And then we had a pretty broad representation of folks with different disabilities, including physical and mobility, vision, intellectual and developmental disabilities. And then our candidates also identified as residing in underserved areas of the state, being members of the LGBTQIA community, and then being members of the racial or ethnic minority. So it really is a really good, diverse group. I was really excited to see these folks come through. I won't read the bios for the folks here specifically. But everybody from Katrina Kelly has great experience. She was chair of the Governor's Council. Julie Shear has such a strong marketing background, and she's been involved with our spill committee for the last year. And then Tiffany Neal has about as extensive of a personal and professional history in this field as probably you could look for as I've seen. So I was super impressed across the board with the quality of our applicants. And as Rita said, we met a few times to kind of work through and come up with these 3, and it was hard because they were all good. So it was really challenging coming up with the 3, but I'm really excited about the potential to have all 3 of these folks on the council.
All right, so this is Casey. The question is there any specific discussion, concern? If not, can we have a motion to accept the slate as presented?
This is Anna, and I make a motion to accept the slate as presented.
I second Catherine Vest.
Okay. Do a roll call vote on this. So Anna?
Yes, this is Anna.
Okay, I'm sorry. We have the motion to accept the slate as presented. So Anna said yes. Jennifer?
This is Jennifer David, yes.
Amy?
This is Amy, yes.
Okay, Anne?
This is Ann, yes.
Christina?
This is Christina, yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
And Dave?
This is Dave. Yes.
And this is Casey. I say yes also. All right, so that was the last agenda item, except for public comment. Because we are beyond time at this point, we do not have the ability to take comments. As known, we can, you have my email. It's kwaldy@insilc.org. KWELDY at sign INDI. I can't spell right now. Indiana. SILC.org. And please send me any additional comments, thoughts, whatnot you have, or it can be sent to info@indianasilk.org as well. So at this time, we need to have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
This is Christina. I motion to adjourn the meeting.
This is Anna. I second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion to adjourn the meeting at this time and do the last roll call vote for today. Anna, sorry.
Here.
Okay. Jennifer,
Jennifer here.
as far as we're voting yes to clear, as far as to adjourn the meeting. So, Amy,
This is Amy. Yes.
Anne,
This is Ann, yes.
and Christina. I think she may
Yes.
have. Okay. Catherine
Yes.
and Dave.
This is Dave. Yes.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. And
So
everybody.
Casey, we need your vote just for official.
This is Casey. Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Hold on.